You're watching Motorhead Garage from Boiler Performance Industries in Johnson City, Tennessee. Remember to like Motorhead Garage TV on Facebook. Yeah, trying to find a leak is a real problem, isn't it? Hey, welcome back to Motorhead Garage. Well, you know what kind of summer we've been having with high temperatures out there. Well, what that does is it brings out the problems you might have with your air conditioning system. And the big problem you have there is trying to find a leak. Now, if you've got low refrigerant in there, that's not going to cool that well. And the reason you have a low refrigerant is because there's a leak somewhere, and trying to find that leak is always a problem. But we have Ideen Bargest here from Mastercool who has a solution for that to make finding the leak a lot easier. Hey, and welcome to the show, Ideen.
How are you?
Show us what you have now to find these leaks. What do you have to do?
Now, like you mentioned, one of the most common problems you're going to have is a low charge, and that's going to probably come from the fact that you have low refrigerant in there.
Right.
So to find that leak problem, you have basically two common sides of finding a leak and getting a leak detection, which would be either through an electronic style, which is using a sensor, or a UV leak detection, which you would inject a dye into the system that is compatible with all oils and refrigerants.
Yep.
And then you would run the system for a good 5 to 10 minutes and let it circulate throughout the system and use some type of a UV light to see where that leak may be.
And that's what you have today, right?
Yeah, actually we have something very unique in the fact that we have the only patented unit in the market that actually incorporates both UV and electronic leak detection. It's our patented feature, and by using the two together in conjunction, you can really pinpoint exactly where your leak is much quicker.
Good. Well, show us how it works.
So basically we'll start with the injection of the dye. To be able to do the ultraviolet leak detection, you would have a dye injector of some style. What we have here is a disposable style.
Yep.
And on the side of it is different injections.
Okay.
So depending on how large your system is, that's how much dye you're going to put in.
Okay.
So with this size car, we're going to have 1 revolution, which would inject 1/10 of an ounce.
That's not much.
That's not much. That's all it takes.
All right, so you put
So we're
that
going to
there
go
on the
ahead
straighter
and
valve.
put this right on your low side. Then you would go ahead and do 1 complete revolution to get the dye into the system. Once you've done that, you would go ahead and disconnect. As we said, you're going to go ahead and now run the car for a little bit, run the air conditioning, let this circulate throughout your system.
Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll run the car for a few minutes, and then we'll take the next step. Okay, now we've injected the dye into the system, and Ideen now is checking for leaks. Now, what are you using to do that with, Ideen?
So, as I mentioned, we got the ultraviolet as well as the electronic. So I'm starting off with the electronic to try and pinpoint the region. And I'm going to be going over the crimp locations the most because that's usually where the leak is going to happen. So as I go in these areas, once I hear that noise, I can immediately at that point turn on my UV light. And there you go. You're going to see that green color substance coming out, and that's where your dye is actually leaking out of.
Okay. Well, what he'll do is he'll go through the whole system and find out what's going on. And once we figure out where the leak is, then we can repair it. But first thing we have to do is evacuate the system. To do that, Sam is working on that. But we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll find out what that's all about.
That's a real manly gun right there.
It sure is. Well, on this week's industry update, what we're featuring are impact guns from Ingersoll Rand. Now, when you're working on a big rig like this, you need some power.
That's right. Now, for handheld unit, this is a 3/4-inch drive impact, balanced well, ergonomically designed. And this is called the 2145Q IMAX, real quiet. It's got a lot of power, up to 1,100 foot-pounds of torque, rear exhaust, place where you can put 3/4-inch, 3/8 airline in it. This will really do the job.
And when you got to do the big jobs, you want this 1-inch drive. This is a 285B unit. This will generate up to 1,770 foot-pounds of torque.
Wow.
It'll freewheel about 5,000 RPMs at about 90 PSI.
Right.
Fully adjustable. You can adjust it either way, forwards or backwards on here. It's a heavy-duty torque. When you want to get these type of lug nuts off, this is the way to go. All you have to do, if you want to find out more about it, just go to ingersollrand.com and you can get all the information you want.
This episode of Motorhead Garage is being brought to you by Rod End Supply. We don't just sell them, we race them. And by Rydell Powertrain, your total part solution. And by Sterling Auto Body Centers. It's more than just a car.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage. Well, you know, another part of getting your system fixed is have the right equipment to do it right. And the new stuff has to meet a specification. Got Jeff Whitehead here. Jeff, tell us about this piece of equipment. What's it called?
Well, this is the 69788 from Mastercool. It's 2788 SAE approved machine.
Okay, so that's the spec that everybody has to meet now to sell these.
Correct. A couple of years ago, SAE changed the spec, so the machines have to remove 95% of the refrigerant now.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. So, but this is fully automatic. Tell us how it works, basically.
Well, it's automatic and programmable. And actually, the only thing a technician is going to need to do is to know how much refrigerant he wants to put into the system. He can either look on the data plate, but a lot of times the data plates aren't there.
Yeah,
and as the cars get a little bit older, the heat of the engine will destroy them.
Right.
So the 69788 has a complete database of thousands of vehicles. So the technician can easily go to any make, any model, and it's going to tell him exactly how much refrigerant to put in.
That saves you a lot of time. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn this thing on. And now you say it's programmable. Do we have to program it to make it fully automatic?
Well, we're going to program in the amount of refrigerant that we want put in the system.
Okay, so the first step we want to do is we want to pull the old refrigerant out.
Right, we want to hook it up to the car and pull the old refrigerant out. So
do that.
I got our coupler set on, and what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to depress the coupler so we have access to the system.
That's actually when you're turning those valves in, what you're doing is you're depressing the Schrader valves, which allows it to flow into the machine. In the front of the machine, you've got valves. You open those valves, and it's ready to go.
Right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the different menus that we have here. And this machine is both automatic, programmable, but it's also manual. A lot of the times they're going to want to use the automatic mode.
Okay.
But if they wanted to go to the manual mode and just do a reclamation or just do a recharge, they can do that also.
Great.
So
Okay,
let's
so let's
go
start pulling it
to
out.
automatic. Okay, we see our screen, it's telling me automatic. Now I'm going to go down and it's asking me a couple questions. How long of a vacuum do I want to pull it for?
Okay.
We always recommend at least 20 minutes.
Absolutely, that's pretty standard.
So I put 20 minutes, hit enter, we're set. Now the next says charging. So how much refrigerant do I want to put into the system?
Right.
Here's where I would go to my data plate,
Right.
or I can do this. You see now we start at Acura, and as I go down, it'll go all the way down to Volvo. So we'll go to Nissan,
Right.
hit enter, we'll go Altima, hit enter. 2012 takes 1.21 pounds of refrigerant.
Okay.
All I need to do is hit enter, it's stored in, we're ready to go.
Cool. All right, now we've got the reclamation completed. It took 30 minutes. Now, that's a little longer than normal, but that's required to get the 95% of the gas out. Is that right?
Correct, that's part of the new SAE regulation. You have to get 95%, so it's going to take a little longer than previous machines.
And by the way, the guy operating this equipment, he's going to be certified to do this. You just can't have anyone do it. You got to be a certified technician. Now I hear the vacuum pump running. It automatically went into vacuum mode.
Correct. After all the pressure, there was no more pressure registered in the system. That means there's no more refrigerant there. So the vacuum pump automatically turns on. And it's going to run for our predetermined time of 20 minutes. But we set up an automatic vacuum leak check also.
This has got a 6 CFM vacuum pump, which pulls a good deep vacuum. Not only do you want to get all the refrigerant and gas and so on out of it, now you got to get the moisture, because if you had a leak, air entered, air has moisture. So by putting the vacuum on there, you lower the boiling point, so that turns to a vapor.
And it will pull it out as a vapor, correct.
There you go. All right, so now what's next?
Well, it's going to pull for 10 minutes. Okay. And then at 10 minutes, it's going to stop. And you'll see a 2-minute timer come up, because it's going to do an automatic vacuum leak check. Because obviously, we want to make sure there's no holes in this system. You don't want to put the refrigerant back in if it's just going to leak out.
That's great. So we'll let this thing do its automatic leak check. So looks like we're in good shape vacuum-wise.
Yeah, actually, it's completed its reclamation process. It's done its vacuum leak check, and we have no holes in the system. So now it's telling us to inject the oil.
Okay.
And simply what we need to do first is see how much oil was removed.
That's on the back, right?
It's on the back, right. So on the back here is your waste oil bottle, and all you're going to simply do is take a look at it. It's marked in cc's, and I can see that 10 cc's of oil came out during the reclamation process.
Pop this little door open here.
Pop that door open.
That's a bottle there with fresh oil in it.
Yes, and now it's all under vacuum, so this is going to go in very quickly. So all I'm going to need to do is open the valve, and bang, 10 cc's was now sucked in by that vacuum that we've created in the system.
Great, here you go. Let's put that back on. Okay. All right, so now we've done a vacuum leak check. We've got all the gas up. We've done a vacuum leak check. We've injected the oil. Now what's next?
Now the machine tells us to hit start. We hit the start button, and now, bang, it's starting to put all the refrigerant back into the system.
Awesome.
And it'll beep. It'll tell us for the end of procedure we have to go through. And it'll walk us through.
All right, now we've got the engine running. We're just using this as a gauge set. We've got about 125 on the high side, about 30 psi on the low side. That's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we're in an air-conditioned building right now, so the pressure is not going to be that high on the high side. So 30 on the low side, 135, 140 on the low side is very good.
Yep, and when you get outside, temperature rises. The high pressure side is going to rise some, but tell us about your website. You got a website for this unit?
Yes, it's mastercool.com.
Mastercool.com. Great machine. If you need to do AC work, got to have one of these. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so we'll see you next time here on Motorhead Garage. Well, listen, this was great. Thanks for the education.
Oh,
I mean,
thanks,
it was
Dan. I
terrific.
appreciate it. Nice meeting you.